Good morning, children. Let's move on to the ninth lesson in geography, that is tourism, transport, and communication. And this again, the last lesson in your geography textbook. Okay, so look at this graph here. This line graph shows the number of international tourists. Okay, the blue line here shows the number of international tourists of Brazil, and the pink one shows the number of international tourists of India. Okay. Now, if you take the number of tourists in the case of Brazil, you find there has been a steady increase in the number of international tourists till 2000. Then slowly it started decreasing uh, till 2010. And after 2010, the number of international tourists had started picking up. Now, in the case of India, you find in the year 1995, from 1995, there has been a steady increase in the number of international tourists. And by the time it was, say, 2010, there has been a substantial increase in the number of international tourists. Okay. So on the x-axis, we have the years plotted, and on the y-axis, we have the number of international tourists in lakhs. Okay. So here are the questions based on this graph. Which country attracted more international tourists in the year 1995? Okay, so 1995 you find both these countries, that is Brazil and India. We had 20, roughly say about 20 lakhs in the year 1995. So both India and Brazil attracted more tourists, international tourists, in the year 1995. In which country did more international tourists arrive in the year 2000? Okay, so look at this. This is year 2000. Okay, the blue line shows the number of tourists of Brazil. So you have more tourists in the case of Brazil in the year, say, 2000. In which year can an increase be seen in the number of international tourists in India? Okay, so now in the case of India, look at this. There has been a slight increase in the year 2000, and from 2000 you find till 2010 there has been a slow increase, and after 2010 there has been a remarkable increase. Okay, so in the year 2000 there was an increase seen, but this increase appears to be more after 2010. What was the number of international tourists in the year 2015 in both the countries? So 2015, see here. Okay, now in the case of, say, Brazil, okay, the blue line shows you Brazil. Okay, so this corresponds, okay, it is less than 60. Okay, so we have 50 lakhs for Brazil. Okay, and here it is roughly say 130. Okay, in the case of India. So number of international tourists in 2015 for India was 130 lakhs, and in the case of Brazil it was 50 lakhs. Okay, so in 2015 the number of international tourists in Brazil was 50 lakhs, and in India it was 130 lakhs. Okay, so now what are the characteristics which have enabled Brazil to earn more money through tourism? Okay, so these are the characteristics. First of all, it is clean white sands. Okay, then we have beaches, the sea coast, attractive sea coast, beautiful islands, orchards, deep dense forests of the Amazon, various birds and animals attract lots of international tourists. Okay, so these are the very reasons why tourism has played a very important role. Okay, so first of all you find it's clean white sands, then you have beautiful beaches, the sea coast, which is also very attractive. Then islands are beautiful. Then we have orchards. And apart from that, we have also the dense, deep forests of the Amazon with its beautiful birds and animals. Okay, then apart from that, we have also the new capital city of Brasilia, together with Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo, also attract lots of tourists. And hence you find in many regions of Brazil, we find tourism has become a very important activity. At the same time, due to the sensitivity of natural resources in Brazil, ecotourism has also developed at a very fast rate. Okay, now look at this joint bar graph here. Okay, now this joint bar here we have this joint bar graph. The blue bar shows the percentage of population engaged in tourism, and the brick red, okay, shows you the contribution of tourism to GDP. Okay, the first part shows you that of Brazil, and the second one is that of India. Okay, now percentage of population engaged in tourism in the case of Brazil is less than 8%. But if you take India, for example, we have the percentage of population engaged in tourism is roughly, say, about 9%. What about contribution of tourism to GDP in the case of Brazil? It is, say, 9%. But in India, you find it is, say, slightly more than, say, 8%. Okay. Now, so here are the questions based on this bar graph. Okay. What type of graph is shown here? Now, the graph which is shown here is called the joint bar graph. What does the graph show? Okay. So, look at this. What is this graph show? You'll have to write what is written. Okay, what's the title? The bar shows the percentage of population engaged in tourism and contribution of tourism to GDP. Okay, according to 2016 census. Okay, so the graph shows a percentage of population engaged in tourism and contribution of tourism to GDP in both India and Brazil. So which country's tourism has a larger share in the contribution towards GDP? Okay, so look at that. We have, this is GDP, okay, contribution of tourism to GDP in the case of Brazil, and this is of India. So it's very, very clear. Brazil contributes more towards GDP by way of tourism. Okay, then fourth one. Which country has a larger population engaged in tourism sector but contributes lesser in GDP? Okay, now same. In the case of India, we have more percentage of population engaged in tourism, but its contribution towards GDP is less. Okay, so which country is that? It is India. Okay, now, so depending on the graph, the joint bar graph that we saw as well as the line graph, we found that the number of international tourists which have been visiting India, okay, in 2015 is more than that of Brazil. Okay, but its contribution towards GDP is less than that of India. Now, if you look at the population, Indian population engaged in tourism, we find the proportion of Indian population engaged in tourism is always being higher than that of Brazil. This is because of the large size of the population and also because of its GDP. Now, and at the same time, the population of India has always been more than Brazil, and its GDP also has been more. Okay, but the contribution of tourism to GDP appears lesser than Brazil, and population engagement seems higher. Okay, though the percentage of population engaged in tourism is higher, its contribution towards GDP is lower than that of Brazil. Now, if you look at the number of international tourists, you find after, say, it has been steadily increasing. We had just gone through the line graph. We found that it has shown a steady increase till 2000. And in 2000, there has been a remarkable increase, but this was more after, say, 2010. Now, foreign tourists visit India for a number of reasons. First of all, to view the rich heritage of India, to have adventures. Okay, we have beaches. Okay, then we have lovely forests. We have forts. Okay, then lakes where they can go boat riding. Okay, then to view the our rich cultural heritage, then again carry on business as well as for health reasons. Okay, so medical tourism also is an important feature of contributing. Medical tourism as such has contributed a lot towards tourism in the recent years. And ecotourism is also being given a boost in India. So, when we consider the heritage of India, we find there are plenty of opportunities for tourism in many parts of the country. Many places are also being developed for this. Okay, so many places are there which are being developed specially for tourism. For example, if you take Kerala, for example, because of its boat races, okay, and because of its long stretching lagoons, okay, we find many places in Kerala have been specifically demarcated for tourism. Okay, then many temples in India, okay, the ancient temples of Khajuraho, okay, then the Sun Temple of Konark, etc., have also been, which are all heritage sites in India, okay, offer plenty of opportunities towards tourism. Okay, so we'll continue with this lesson in the next session. Till then, thank you.